Emotions are the single greatest liability a man can have. They cloud judgment, weaken resolve, and leave you vulnerable to manipulation. The moment you let emotions dictate your decisions, you lose control. And once you lose control, you become a puppet, controlled by circumstances, controlled by other people, controlled by your own weakness. The world isn't built for the emotional. It's built for the calculated, the disciplined, the men who can shut off feelings and move with purpose. You think the most powerful men in history sat around feeling sorry for themselves? No, they executed, regardless of how they felt. Weak men justify their failures with emotions. They say they were too tired, too stressed, too upset to take action. But the truth is, they weren't strong enough to override their feelings. Feelings are fleeting, inconsistent, and unreliable. A man who depends on motivation, happiness, or comfort to get things done is a man who will never accomplish anything of value. Because the world doesn't care if you're sad. The world doesn't care if you're in pain. All that matters is whether you show up and execute. Winners understand this. Losers let their emotions become their excuse. Emotional men are easy to control. You ever wonder why the weak always lash out, always react, always expose their emotions to the world? Because they have no control over themselves. They get offended, they get angry, they get desperate for validation. And the second they react, they become predictable. A predictable man is a weak man because he can be manipulated. If you're always reacting, you're never thinking. And if you're never thinking, you're never winning. The strong man doesn't react. He observes, he calculates, he strategizes. That's why he's always 10 steps ahead. The modern world encourages men to be emotional because an emotional man is a weak man. Society wants you distracted, constantly battling your feelings, constantly doubting yourself. They push the idea that expressing emotions is strength. But the reality is that it's the fastest way to make yourself vulnerable. The more emotional you are, the more easily you're controlled by media, by relationships, by your own mind. Every time you break down, every time you let emotions rule you, you hand over power to something or someone else. Strength comes from mastering yourself, not from seeking sympathy. A cold, calculated man doesn't allow emotions to dictate his moves. He wakes up and does what needs to be done, whether he feels like it or not. He understands that emotions are just signals, not orders. If he's tired, he works anyway. If he's angry, he channels that into progress. If he's sad, he turns it into motivation. He doesn't suppress emotions. He controls them, directs them, and ensures they serve him rather than weaken him. This is the mindset of a man who wins. Most men fail because they let their emotions sabotage them. They start a business, face setbacks, get discouraged, and quit. They go to the gym, don't see instant results, feel unmotivated, and stop going. They approach a goal, feel fear, and back down. Every single time, emotions dictate their failure. This is why the weak never break out of mediocrity. They are slaves to their own feelings. A man who cannot detach from emotions is a man who will always be controlled by them. Look at any man at the top of his game, business, sports, war, power. None of them are driven by emotion. They are driven by discipline, by logic, by unwavering commitment to the mission. The strongest men in history were ruthless because they had to be. They didn't let feelings of doubt, sadness, or hesitation get in the way. They understood that their emotions were irrelevant compared to the bigger picture. And because of that, they dominated while the weak fell apart. A man who masters his emotions masters his life. Every time you let feelings of weakness creep in, you have a choice to let them rule you or to override them with action. The world doesn't care about what you feel. It only respects what you do. Discipline is the foundation of power. Feelings are temporary, inconsistent, and unreliable, but discipline is the one thing that never fails. A man who operates on discipline moves forward no matter what. He doesn't wait until he feels like doing something. He does it because it needs to be done. The weak rely on motivation, which comes and goes like the wind. The strong rely on discipline, which remains unshaken regardless of emotions, circumstances, or setbacks. If you cannot master discipline, you will never master life. Feelings are the downfall of weak men. They wake up tired and skip the gym. They feel sad and stop chasing their goals. They don't feel like working, so they waste another day. This is why they remain average. They wait for motivation, as if some magical force will one day bless them with the drive to take action. That day never comes. Meanwhile, the disciplined man gets up and executes, regardless of how he feels. Over time, the gap between the weak and the strong becomes impossible to close. The undisciplined waste years making excuses. The disciplined man becomes unstoppable. Discipline is simple. It's doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. There's no secret formula, no hidden trick. You wake up, you follow the plan, and you execute. It's boring, repetitive, and sometimes painful, but that's exactly why it works. Weak men chase excitement, pleasure, and short-term happiness. Strong men chase results. They don't care about how they feel in the moment because they understand that success is built through consistent, calculated action. A man who is truly disciplined does not need motivation because his actions are automatic. A disciplined man cannot be broken. You take away his comfort, he keeps going. You put obstacles in his way, he finds a way around them. He doesn't complain, he doesn't make excuses, he simply adapts and continues. Weak men, on the other hand, crumble under the slightest discomfort. If something is hard, they quit. If they don't see immediate results, they lose interest. This is why most people never accomplish anything significant. They allow their emotions to dictate their actions instead of having the discipline to push through. The world is built to test you. Every day there will be temptations to quit, distractions to pull you off course, and excuses waiting to be made. Discipline is what separates those who rise above from those who drown in mediocrity. The ones who rely on feelings will always find reasons to stop. I'm tired. I don't have time. I'm not in the mood. These are the words of men who have already lost. The disciplined man hears these same thoughts but acts anyway. That is why he wins. Weak men envy discipline because they know they lack it. They look at those who succeed and tell themselves it's easy for them. They refuse to acknowledge the countless hours of work, sacrifice, and suffering that go into building real strength. They want the rewards without the struggle. But discipline does not work that way. It is earned through relentless consistency, day after day, year after year. No shortcuts, no cheats, just raw, unshakable commitment. Discipline removes the need for decision-making. A weak man debates with himself every morning. Should I work out? Should I work on my business? Should I stay focused? The disciplined man has already decided. There is no debate. The plan is set and it will be followed. He doesn't waste time negotiating with his emotions. He simply acts. This is why disciplined men always outlast those who depend on feeling. They don't need inspiration. They don't need perfect conditions. They just do what must be done regardless. Silence is a weapon, and most men have no idea how to use it. Weak men talk too much. They reveal their plans, expose their emotions, and give away their weaknesses without realizing it. The strongest men in history moved in silence. They didn't announce their moves, they executed them. While the average man wastes energy explaining himself, justifying his actions, or seeking approval, the strategic man stays quiet, observes, and makes precise moves when the time is right. Talking is easy. Execution is what separates the powerful from the powerless. The more you speak, the more predictable you become. Weak men feel the need to explain everything they do as if the world needs to understand their every step. They broadcast their ambitions, their frustrations, and their emotions, making themselves easy to read and even easier to manipulate. But a man who knows how to control his tongue controls the battlefield. He understands that mystery creates power. If no one knows what he's thinking, no one can anticipate his next move. This is how he stays ahead while others stumble blindly. Silence forces people to underestimate you. The loudest men in the room always feel the need to prove something. They brag, they boast, they make noise, but deep down they are insecure. A truly strategic man lets others assume he's average, weak, or uninformed. He doesn't waste time trying to impress people with words. He lets his actions do that for him. And when the time comes to strike, he is already 10 steps ahead while his opponents are still trying to figure him out. A man who talks too much loses leverage. Every time you speak, you give people information they can use against you. You tell them your thoughts, your plans, your fears, and once they have that information, they can use it to control, manipulate, or outmaneuver you. But if you keep your thoughts to yourself and speak only when necessary, you maintain control. You dictate the flow of information. You decide what others know and what they don't. This is how you maintain the upper hand in any situation. Strategy is about calculated moves, not emotional reactions. Weak men react to everything. They get offended, they lash out, they argue over nonsense. They let their emotions dictate their actions, which makes them easy to control. A strategic man, on the other hand, understands that not everything requires a response. He picks his battles wisely. He knows when to engage and when to walk away. He doesn't waste energy on meaningless conflicts because his focus is on the bigger picture. Every move he makes is intentional, deliberate, and aimed at securing his long-term success. Powerful men don't move impulsively. They don't chase instant gratification. They don't let the opinions of weak people affect them. Instead, they think long-term. They see life like a chessboard, not a battlefield of mindless reactions. They make sacrifices, they anticipate obstacles, and they always position themselves for victory. The average man, controlled by emotions and distractions, cannot comprehend this level of thinking. He acts based on impulse, never realizing that every reckless decision he makes pushes him further from his goals. The world is designed to distract you. Every day, there is noise, opinions, arguments, pointless drama. Weak men get caught up in it. They waste hours explaining themselves to people who don't matter, defending their choices to those who will never support them. But the strategic man ignores the noise. He stays focused on his mission. He speaks only when necessary, and when he does, people listen because they know his words carry weight. He doesn't engage in meaningless debates because his energy is reserved for things that actually move him forward. The strongest men in history weren't the loudest. They were the smartest. They weren't concerned with proving themselves through words. They proved themselves through calculated, disciplined action. They understood that silence is power and strategy is the key to winning. Doubt is the beginning of failure. The second you question yourself, you create an opening for weakness to creep in. A man who allows doubt to exist in his mind is already halfway to defeat. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build through action, repetition, and an unshakable belief in your ability to handle any situation. The world does not respect uncertainty. It respects those who move with purpose, those who decide, act, and never hesitate. If you want to be at the top, there can be no room for doubt. Weak men live in doubt because they have no proof of their own strength. They hesitate, they second guess, they waste time analyzing instead of executing. This is why they remain stagnant while the strong move forward. A man who doubts himself is a man who has not put in the work. He doesn't trust his ability because he knows deep down he has not done what is necessary to earn that trust. The solution? Relentless action. When you do the work, when you sharpen your skills, when you prepare yourself for every challenge, there is no room for doubt because you already know you're ready. Doubt is a disease. It starts small, a tiny thought, a brief hesitation, but if you don't crush it immediately, it spreads. It infects your mind, your actions, your results. Suddenly, you find yourself hesitating where you should be decisive. You start wondering if you're good enough, if you're capable, if you should even try. And the moment you entertain these thoughts, you start losing ground. Doubt paralyzes men. It keeps them stuck in the same place, watching as others pass them by. The only cure is action. Action kills doubt faster than anything else. A man with no doubt is dangerous. He moves with confidence, he makes decisions without hesitation, and he does not entertain failure as an option. This is why the strong dominate while the weak overthink. While one man is debating whether he should take the shot, the other has already fired. And in life, speed matters. Hesitation costs opportunities, it costs time, it costs power. The man who acts first, who moves without fear, always holds the advantage. Doubt is the excuse of the weak. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if people judge me? These are the words of a man who has already lost. Strong men don't waste time with what ifs. They know that failure is just part of the process. They know that success isn't about being perfect. It's about making decisions and adapting along the way. If you're constantly waiting for certainty, you will wait forever. The world doesn't stop for you to feel ready. It rewards those who step up and take what they want. Most men never reach their potential because they let doubt control them. They dream, they plan, they talk about what they're going to do, but when it's time to act, they freeze. They let fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown hold them back. And while they sit on the sidelines, men with unshakable confidence take the opportunities they were too afraid to seize. Success doesn't go to the smartest, the strongest, or the most talented. It goes to the ones who are bold enough to take action without hesitation. A man with absolute confidence becomes unstoppable. He doesn't waste time questioning himself. He doesn't hesitate when faced with a challenge. He understands that every second spent doubting is a second wasted. The strongest men in history were not the ones who had all the answers. They were the ones who acted, adapted, and never looked back. While the weak were debating their decisions, the strong were already winning. Confidence is a choice. It's built through action, through consistency, through refusing to entertain doubt. Every time you hesitate, you reinforce weakness. Every time you move forward despite uncertainty, you reinforce strength. The difference between the average and the elite is simple. One allows doubt to dictate their actions, and the other eliminates doubt through relentless execution. Pain is the greatest teacher a man can have. Every struggle, every setback, every failure, it all serves a purpose. Weak men run from pain. They complain, they make excuses, they seek comfort. But the strong embrace pain. They use it as fuel. They understand that every hardship is an opportunity to grow, to adapt, to become stronger. No man who has ever achieved anything great did so without suffering. Pain is the price of power, and only those willing to endure it will ever taste true success. Weak men avoid pain because they have been conditioned to believe that life should be easy. They want shortcuts, they want comfort, they want rewards without struggle. This is why they never reach their full potential. They crumble at the first sign of discomfort, while the strong push through. The truth is simple. The more pain you endure, the more powerful you become. Every time you face adversity and refuse to break, you harden your mind, you sharpen your instincts, and you build a level of resilience that weak men will never understand. Pain is what separates the elite from the average. A man who has never suffered, never struggled, never been tested, he is weak, fragile, and unprepared for the real world. The strongest men are forged through fire. They have been beaten down, humiliated, betrayed, and broken, but instead of letting pain destroy them, they used it to rebuild themselves stronger. When life hits them, they don't complain. They adapt. They don't cry about how unfair things are. They get better, and because of that, they rise above the rest. Most men fear pain because they don't understand its purpose. They see suffering as a punishment, not as a gift. But pain is the ultimate motivator. It forces you to change. It forces you to improve. If you're comfortable, you have no reason to push harder. But when you're in pain, physically, mentally, emotionally, that's when you either break or grow. And the ones who grow, they become unstoppable. They understand that every struggle is sharpening them for something greater. The world is full of men who let pain defeat them. They get rejected and never try again. They fail once and decide they're not good enough. They suffer loss and let it break their spirit. This is why they remain weak. They let pain dictate their future instead of using it to build themselves into something greater. The strongest men in history went through unimaginable suffering, but they didn't let it stop them. They used every ounce of pain to become more disciplined, more focused, more relentless. Pain exposes who you really are. It strips away the excuses, the fake confidence, the illusions of strength. When you're in pain, you either rise to the occasion or you collapse. There is no in between. A man who has been through real suffering walks differently. He carries himself with a presence that weak men will never understand. He has been through hell and he came out stronger. Pain gives you something that no amount of money, education, or talent can give: an unbreakable mindset. The most dangerous man in any room is the one who has suffered the most and refused to quit. He doesn't fear failure because he's already been through worse. He doesn't hesitate because he knows pain is just another obstacle to overcome. He moves with a level of certainty that others don't have because he has already proven to himself time and time again that he can endure anything. This is why the strongest men seek challenges, push their limits, and put themselves through suffering, because they know that pain is the gateway to power. The world does not care about you. It doesn't care about your struggles, your feelings, or your excuses. It is ruthless, unforgiving, and designed to crush the weak. Every single day, life will test you, and if you are not strong enough, it will break you without hesitation. Weak men sit around waiting for fairness, hoping that someone will come and save them. But the truth is, no one is coming. No one cares. You either step up, take control, and carve out your own path, or you get left behind. Weak men love to believe in fairness. They convince themselves that if they follow the rules, work hard, and be good people, life will reward them. But that's not how the world works. Life doesn't reward effort. It rewards results. No one cares how hard you tried if you failed. No one is going to give you what you want just because you feel like you deserve it. The strong understand this. They don't waste time complaining about fairness. They focus on winning by any means necessary. Every single advantage in this world is taken, not given. You think the powerful sit around waiting for permission? No. They take what they want. They manipulate, outthink, and outwork the competition. The ruthless rise to the top while the weak sit at the bottom crying about how unfair life is. No one respects a victim. No one admires a man who complains about his circumstances. The world respects power, and power is built through strength, resilience, and the ability to dominate when necessary. People will betray you, they will lie to you, they will use you if you let them. Weak men believe in loyalty from the wrong people. They trust blindly, expecting that others will have their best interests at heart. But the reality is, most people will take advantage of you the moment they see an opportunity. That's why the strong move carefully. They trust no one fully, they stay ahead, and they ensure that no one has the ability to destroy them. The ruthless do not get blindsided. They anticipate betrayal before it happens. Success is war. Every day someone is trying to take what you have. If you are not constantly evolving, constantly improving, constantly securing your position, you will lose everything. Weak men get comfortable. They achieve a little success and think they've made it. Then, before they know it, someone hungrier, stronger, and more ruthless comes along and takes it all away. The strong never relax. They stay sharp, stay prepared, and stay ahead of the competition. The modern world is built to weaken you. It pushes comfort, laziness, and entitlement. It tells you that life should be easy, that you should be taken care of, that you deserve things just for existing. This is a lie. Comfort is the enemy of strength. The moment you start believing that you are owed something, you have already lost. The strong reject comfort. They embrace struggle, discipline, and hardship because they know that's the only way to build real power. Ruthlessness isn't a choice, it's a requirement. If you want to win in this world, you must be willing to do what the weak won't. You must be willing to make hard decisions, to push yourself beyond your limits, to take risks that others are too afraid to take. You must be willing to outwork, outfight, and outthink everyone around you. Because if you don't, someone else will. And when they do, they will take everything you weren't strong enough to claim for yourself. The weak pray for an easier life. The strong adapt to reality. The world is ruthless, and it will chew you up if you are not prepared. The only way to survive, to thrive, to dominate is to become just as ruthless as the world itself. Attachment is weakness. The more you cling to emotions, people, and outcomes, the more vulnerable you become. Weak men allow themselves to be controlled by their feelings, fear, love, anger, disappointment. They attach themselves to situations they cannot control. And when things don't go their way, they break. The strong man, the disciplined man, understands that true power comes from detachment. He does not allow external circumstances to dictate his actions. He remains steady, focused, and unaffected by the chaos around him. Emotional attachment blinds men. It makes them act irrationally. It clouds their judgment, and it leaves them open to manipulation. How many men have ruined their lives because they got too attached to a woman who didn't respect them? How many have lost everything because they let emotions guide their decisions instead of logic? A man who is detached cannot be easily controlled. He sees situations for what they are, not for what he wishes they were. He does not make decisions based on fleeting feelings. He makes them based on strategy. The world is full of distractions designed to keep you emotionally invested in things that do not matter. People waste energy arguing, complaining, chasing approval, or obsessing over things that have no real impact on their future. Detachment is the ability to step back and ask, does this serve me? Does this bring me power? Does this move me forward? If the answer is no, then it is not worth your time. Weak men get emotionally involved in nonsense. The strong stay focused on what actually matters. Detachment is not about being emotionless. It is about being in control. A strong man feels everything, but he acts on nothing unless it serves his purpose. He does not let anger push him into reckless decisions. He does not let sadness slow him down. He does not let love make him weak. He understands that emotions are natural, but they are not his master. He chooses logic over impulse, discipline over reaction, and strength over vulnerability. When you detach, you become unpredictable. Weak men are easy to read because they wear their emotions on their sleeves. They react instantly, they overexplain, they seek validation. The detached man is a mystery. He does not reveal his thoughts, his weaknesses, or his next move. This makes him dangerous. People cannot manipulate what they do not understand. They cannot control a man who does not crave their approval. They cannot break a man who does not fear loss. Detachment gives you leverage. In business, in relationships, in life, whoever needs the other person less holds the power. The man who is desperate for a deal will always get the worst terms. The man who is afraid to walk away from a situation will always be controlled. But the man who is detached, he wins. He does not fear rejection. He does not beg for opportunities. And he does not settle for anything that does not serve his goals. He takes what he wants or he moves on. The world tries to make men weak by encouraging attachment. It tells them to be emotional, to be vulnerable, to care deeply about things that do not matter. It conditions them to seek comfort, to chase approval, to fear loss. This is why most men live in a constant state of anxiety, disappointment, and frustration. They are too attached to things outside of their control. The moment you detach, you free yourself. You no longer waste energy on things that do not contribute to your success. A detached man cannot be broken. He does not fear loss because he does not depend on anything external for his strength. He does not chase validation because he knows his worth. He does not let temporary setbacks shake his confidence. He moves through life with an unshakable mindset focused only on what he can control, leaving everything else behind. Talk is cheap. Weak men love to speak about what they're going to do, how hard they work, how great they are, but when you look at their results, there's nothing. No progress, no achievements, just empty words. The world does not care about what you say. It only cares about what you can prove. Men who win understand this. They don't waste time talking about their goals, they execute. They let their results speak so loudly that words become unnecessary. Weak men hide behind words. They make promises they never fulfill. They convince themselves that talking about success is the same as achieving it. But words mean nothing without action. A man who constantly says, I'm going to get rich, but remains broke is delusional. A man who says, I'm going to get in shape, but never goes to the gym is weak. If you cannot back up your words with tangible results, you have nothing. Results are the only proof of competence. If you say you're disciplined, but your body is out of shape, you're not disciplined. If you say you're intelligent, but you have no achievements to show for it, you're not intelligent. The world is ruthless. It does not care about your potential, your effort, or your excuses. It only rewards what you can produce. You can either accept this truth and take action, or you can remain one of the countless men who talk big but deliver nothing. A man of action doesn't waste time announcing his every move. He doesn't seek validation or approval. He simply does what needs to be done. And when the results start showing, when he starts winning, the same people who ignored him before will suddenly start paying attention. The loudest men in the room are usually the weakest. They feel the need to convince others of their worth because deep down they know they have nothing to show for it. The strongest men let their success do the talking. Results expose frauds. You can tell who's serious and who's not by looking at what they've built, what they've achieved, and what they've overcome. The weak love to pretend, but when it's time to prove themselves, they crumble. The strong don't pretend they prepare. They work in silence. They execute when no one is watching. And when the moment comes, they dominate while the talkers are still making excuses. Excuses are the language of failures. Weak men always have a reason why they didn't succeed. I tried my best. It wasn't my fault. I'll do better next time. None of this matters. The world does not reward effort, it rewards execution. If you don't have the results, you don't have the right to speak. The ones who win are the ones who take full responsibility for their lives. They don't waste time explaining their failures. They learn, adjust, and come back stronger. Discipline creates results. The difference between those who talk and those who can win is simple daily execution. A disciplined man does what needs to be done, regardless of how he feels. He doesn't seek motivation. He doesn't wait for the perfect moment. He simply acts over and over again until success is inevitable. Meanwhile, the weak wait. They wait for inspiration, for permission, for the right circumstances, never realizing that the right moment will never come. Results are undeniable. You can lie to yourself, you can lie to others, but you cannot lie to reality. Either you have built something, achieved something, or improved something, or you haven't. The scoreboard of life does not care about effort. It only records wins and losses. And at the end of the day, the only thing that separates the weak from the strong is this: one talks, the other delivers.